Is owning a home still on your to-do list for 2021? This is very possible through the National Housing Trust. Or maybe you're considering renovating yours or your parents' home. That too can be funded by the trust. In between the pages, we talk home ownership. I'm Theodore Henry. Stay with us. This is the show with the information you need to know.
Concerned about uncollected garbage at home? Do you see garbage piling up on the streets? Then report it. Use the National Solid Waste Management Authority's mobile app to report instances of littering, illegal dumping, and uncollected garbage. From anywhere and at any time, be an environment warden by informing the authority of unsightly solid waste. You will be notified when your report has been received by the NSWMA, as well as when the matter is resolved. Download the app from the iOS or Android app stores by typing in NSWMA. Play your part, as Jamaica's beauty is everybody's duty. Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, April 20. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is among 40 world leaders who will participate in a virtual Leaders Summit on Climate. The invitation was extended by United States President Joe Biden and is scheduled for April 22 and 23. The U.S. President urged leaders to use the summit as an opportunity to outline how their countries also will contribute to stronger climate ambition. In a statement, the White House says the summit is in keeping with President Biden's commitment to return the U.S. to the Paris Agreement. It says the event will underscore the urgency and economic benefits of stronger climate action. In addition, it will be a key milestone ahead of the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP26 this November in Glasgow. The summit will also highlight examples of how enhanced climate ambition will create good-paying jobs, advance innovative technologies, and help vulnerable countries adapt to climate impacts. By the time of the summit, the United States will announce an ambitious 2030 emissions target as its new nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement. The Bank of Jamaica BOJ is now an independent institution. The transition took place on April 16, the same day the Bank of Jamaica Amendment Act 2020 took effect. With that, a new board and statutory committees have been appointed, giving the central bank autonomy over its operations. It also removes power from the Minister of Finance to borrow money from the bank through the printing of money.
We're giving the central bank a job to do, we're empowering the central bank to do it, and we're giving them the operational independence to get the job done, and providing the framework for parliamentarians on behalf of the people to hold them to account on achievement of those objectives.
According to Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, the BOJ's mandate is now to focus on inflation target, maintaining required capital, as well as strengthening its governance, transparency, and accountability.
With price stability being the central bank's objective now and into the future, and with the central bank having the power and independence to pursue that objectives with transparency and accountability, households and businesses and investors will make longer-term decisions and more longer-term commitments, which will deepen financial markets, widen the pool of products available, increase financial inclusion, broaden opportunity, and strengthen our economy.
The Lay Magistrates Association of Jamaica LMAJ is helping to significantly reduce the backlog of cases in courts at the parish level. Regional Vice President Melvin Harris says since the association was tasked with this responsibility, there is now clear evidence that the move is having great success.
Over the years, the Lay Magistrates Court used to deal with only a limited number of cases. In recent times, that has been increased. And where we have seen the increase, we have made some significant strides in reducing the number of cases that are on the books. Right? Some of the areas that we are dealing with at the moment, we have drug courts, we participate with children's court.
Mr. Harris was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. He says work is underway to allow lay magistrates to provide assistance with other legal matters, including certain cases in the traffic court. Meanwhile, the Lay Magistrates Association's regional vice president is appealing to persons to try and settle disputes amicably and spare the courts from further backlogs. 51 students from 9 tertiary institutions who are facing financial difficulties have been awarded bursaries totaling $4.5 million. The funds were handed over during a virtual ceremony last Friday, courtesy of the Spanish Jamaican Foundation. The recipients include pre-trained Spanish teachers and students who study Spanish and hospitality services. The beneficiaries were selected based on their academic performance, financial need, community service, knowledge of the Spanish language, and comportment in an interview. Partial tuition scholarships are provided to students of teachers and community colleges, while those attending the Hart College of Hospitality Services are being provided with funds to purchase tools and equipment necessary for their courses of study. Jamaicans are now able to conduct their own HIV test with the help of a self-test kit. This has been made possible through a partnership between the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the National Family Planning Board. State Minister of Health Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn says the kits are available at approximately 22 pharmacies island-wide and provide a convenient option for persons wanting to know their HIV status.
With the Quick, a rapid antibody test kit, the power is literally now in your hands. All it takes is a swabbing of your upper and lower gum lines. Now that's pretty easy. All of these features of the self-test kit augurs well for its widespread adoption by the population.
Minister Cuthbert-Flynn was speaking at the launch on Friday, which follows a pilot that began last August in the regional health authorities. She pointed out that of the estimated 32,000 persons living with HIV in Jamaica, 4% are not aware of their status, and said the wider availability of the HIV self-test kit will help ensure that at least 90% know their status. This is one of 3 United Nations targets being pursued by the country. The others are for 90% of people diagnosed with HIV infection to receive sustained antiretroviral ARV treatment and 90% of persons on ARV treatment attaining viral suppression.
Success in this endeavor will mean we can end AIDS pandemic by 2030.
And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is among several Jamaicans expressing sadness at the passing of veteran journalist and broadcaster Michael Sharp. Mr. Sharp, who was 65, died this morning while in hospital. In tribute, Prime Minister Holness says for almost 40 years, Michael Sharp dedicated himself to the craft of journalism and keeping Jamaica informed. His media career spanned Television Jamaica as a news anchor, talk show host on Radio Jamaica, The Gleaner, and the Jamaica Information Service. At the time of his passing, Michael Sharp was News Operations Manager at Jamaica News Network, JNN. And that's it for JI's News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Things we've seen is that many businesses that were not compliant either with their up-to-date licenses have become so, including many bikes that were not up-to-date have paid for their carriage licenses, they've paid for their bike riding licenses. We're ensuring that they also have provided to us evidence of helmets. So some of the basic issues that plague the society all the time and the lack of structure in some industries is already being rectified. So we're very happy that they're now regularized and they're participating in the economy in a structured, functional manner. Our intention is to make sure that we develop what we call a culture of fulfillment. So you get people to embrace the internet, you get your small and micro businesses to embrace the box. This, we believe, will make what N stands for continue for a very, very long time.
ENDS, e-commerce national delivery solution.
Coming up, actions taken during the past week by Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
Weekend curfew extended with modification, measures being coordinated to enforce a ticketing system under the Disaster Risk Management Act, and appeal to countries not to hoard COVID-19 vaccines. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was in Parliament on Tuesday, where he made several adjustments to the COVID-19 containment measures. Among them is the continuation of the weekend curfew, which has been modified for another 3 weeks until May 3. The dates include April 17, 18, 24, and 25, as well as May 1 and 2.
The curfew will begin at 4 p.m. on Saturdays and 2 p.m. on Sundays and end at 5 a.m. the next morning.
The midday closure of businesses on Fridays has been discontinued. Meanwhile, the curfew hours for weekdays, Mondays to Fridays, remains from 8 p.m. to 5 the next morning. Other enforcements that will remain in place until May 4 include the ban on funerals, social and entertainment events, while the maximum number of people in church has been increased from 12 to 30. The restriction on face-to-face classes also continues, including for students who are sitting exit examinations.
However, students are permitted to sit exit examinations at the physical location of the school when those exams are due.
Further to that, Prime Minister Holness said the existing work-from-home protocols in the public sector would continue until May 4, while private sector employers were urged to allow eligible employees to work from home. The gathering limit remains at 10. Mr. Holness said the measures were necessary as the COVID-19 positivity and hospitalization rates remained high.
The sooner we bring the spike under control, the sooner we will be able to lift some of the restrictions and focus on growing our economy.
As it regards protecting the borders, the United Kingdom travel ban will continue until April 30 and is not expected to be renewed any further. The travel ban for Brazil, Chile, Peru, Colombia, Argentina and Paraguay has been extended until May 4. And the Prime Minister said other existing protocols, including the requirement for all travelers to present a negative COVID-19 test that is conducted within 3 days of travel, remain in place. So too the requirement to self-quarantine for 14 days after arrival. With amendments to the Disaster Risk Management Act now being passed, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government is currently undertaking various logistical and operational measures required to implement the ticketing system.
Minister Mackenzie has been asked to lead the cross-ministerial group that will ensure that the ticketing system has a proper digital network and software supporting it across the Ministry of Finance, that's particularly TAJ, or Tax Administration of Jamaica rather, the Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Justice, and the court system, and the Ministry of National Security.
Still on COVID-19, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has expressed satisfaction with the island-wide vaccination campaign. As at April 13, approximately 135,473 persons have received their first dose of vaccine.
I want to thank the thousands of healthcare workers, the JCF and the JDF, and all the support staff that have worked around the clock to make this possible.
Mr. Holness says government is expecting 20,000 doses of Moderna through a commercial arrangement, as well as an additional 50,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine through the global COVAX facility shortly.
The government continues to pursue all avenues, bilateral, multilateral, as well as commercial arrangements with suppliers to obtain further supplies of vaccines.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is appealing to countries with stocks of vaccines not to hoard them, but instead make them available to other countries like Jamaica that will rapidly use them to inoculate the population.
I'm saying to those countries that have these supplies, who may not be able to utilize them all before their expiration date because of their take-up rate, to make them available, to loan them to us, and we will place our orders and return to you. But it is important that we all move towards recovery on even keel.
Moving on to another matter, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government is putting plans in place to invest in the entertainment industry. This is in preparation for post-COVID-19 activities. Part of the capital investment being considered are entertainment spaces, venues and locations, which Mr. Holness says are insufficient.
We haven't designated spaces for entertainment. So you might have a dance hall right, beside a church, a clinic, within residential areas, and, we disturb our neighbors. What the pandemic has revealed is that we need to reconfigure our society. We need to sit with the stakeholders and say, we can build a new Jamaica, a Jamaica in which your entertainment can be accommodated. And it is a conversation that we need to have without anybody saying that we're fighting dancehall or fighting this or fighting that.
Prime Minister Holness says he is very aware of the hurt and suffering faced by many in the entertainment industry due to the significant loss of revenue. He says government sees music and culture as a part of our economic recovery and as such will allocate funds towards the industry. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Tax Administration Jamaica will open select tax offices on Saturdays from March 13 to April 24. The offices are Montego Bay, Mandeville, St. Andrew, Savannah Lamar, St. Anne's Bay, and the hours 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Portmore Tax Office will continue its regular Saturday opening hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Taxpayers will be able to conduct their usual weekday transactions island-wide. The weekend opening hours at the select tax offices is an additional option to bring greater convenience to taxpayers wishing to clear off payments for the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Due to its newness, there are many questions surrounding whether or not someone should be vaccinated. The best we can do is turn to science to ascertain what works. Next, the experts speak on vaccines.
Vaccination is not new to Jamaica. The fears of vaccination, I believe, especially given the situation with this pandemic, are to a large degree unfounded because we have our own history to rely on. And indeed, with new births in the island, it is our public health requirement that they are vaccinated for various diseases. And that goes on almost on a daily basis. And we do go back to the clinics for vaccination for booster shots.
This is a disease that we have to take seriously. Many people, it is true, luckily, the majority of persons who get COVID may have some symptoms, some have no symptoms at all, especially if you're young. But if you are older, then as many as 1 out of 6 who gets COVID, who is over 70 years of age, is likely to die. And if you're over 80 years of age, then 1 out of 4 may die. So our best hope to control this epidemic is the vaccine. Now, I have the privilege of being on the World Health Organization working group that is reviewing all the vaccines that have been prepared to protect people against COVID. We've looked at this vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine. The World Health Organization has approved it as highly effective and safe.
If I take the vaccine, then I personally am safe from the disease. But if I'm the only one that takes the vaccine, it doesn't really do any public good because the disease, the virus is still around and still infecting. And indeed, though I am vaccinated and I may not get ill, I could still carry the virus. This is the beginning of the end. It is not the end. We are right there now, where if we behave responsibly, personally responsible, and as a community responsible, then we can bring the end of this pandemic earlier. A few things that we have to understand. One, it is the scarcity of the supply. Once you introduce pricing as a means of rationing how the vaccine is distributed, then what it means is that people who can afford the price will get it, and those who can't won't. And that is not good for social stability. The second issue is to ensure proper regulation, right? We need to be able, with certainty, that the persons, that we have captured the information of the persons who got the vaccine, and be able at very short notice with, if anything went wrong, especially in terms of the batches and how they are distributed. So tracking is important.
We're asking that the country, all of our people, support us. When it's time to be vaccinated, let's do it in the orderly manner that we can. Let's make ourselves, our entire country, proud of just us accepting the vaccine and doing it the way we know we should. And remember, we're trying our very best to ensure that no one is left behind.
We work to make communities safer by essentially looking at the structures in the community that contribute greatest to social capital building. Try to reinforce, build, and establish those structures in a way that the community can sustain their own safety and own their own peace. When we say, for instance, we're doing a zinc fence removal program, what we're really doing is improving the line of sight. If you're on the street and you can see better what is behind the fences, then as you walk along the street or children play on, etc., you're able to contribute to crime prevention. We believe, in terms of our mandate and our responsibility, that by making communities safer, we can make Jamaica safer.
The National Housing Trust has doubled its efforts at helping Jamaicans get inside their own homes. Watch this next feature to learn how you can benefit from the NHT.
Now is the time to build house. Now is the time to buy house. Now is the time to make that critical investment in your life.
If you're thinking of answering the Prime Minister's call, look no further than the National Housing Trust, NHT.
The NHT is following the mandate that they have been given, which is build house, build house, build house, and don't stop build house.
That's right. Since 1976, the National Housing Trust has been providing affordable housing solutions to Jamaicans. Established through an amendment to the National Insurance Act of 1976, the trust was formed by way of partnership between the government and public sector workers. The aim? To increase the housing stock available while providing financial assistance to the neediest contributors. Persons are able to build, buy, or repair their homes through the NHT by making contributions. That is, funds are deducted from one's pay in this revolving loan scheme.
Since 1976, we are proud to say that we've housed well over 200,000 Jamaicans and provided well over 100 housing schemes across Jamaica.
Persons may realize their homeownership dreams with the NHT by two main avenues. First, the trust develops housing units or serviced lots. Currently, there are over 40 such projects underway across the island. The NHT also provides mortgage financing for Jamaicans seeking to build or buy houses, purchase land, or make repairs on existing homes.
While we're not a regulator, we have different partnerships between developers, between contractors, between financiers in the market as well to see how best we can improve the overall aesthetics and the overall housing product, whether it be public or even private as well.
As a result, contributors can combine funds received from the NHT with that of private financiers. And the trust has also entered into agreements with developers to give even greater access to home ownership. In addition to partnering on the construction of houses, NHT makes lands available for developers to build houses.
One of our newer programs that we are particularly proud of is our Guaranteed Purchase Program, GPP for short. where we actually liaise with developers who have projects themselves that they have built and have brought out of the ground and or they are about to do construction on. And what the NHD does in those instances is the NHD buys the units from the developers and make them available to our contributors. And we think it's a good one because it's a win-win-win situation, because the developers win, they are good at building, and so they're able to do it at a faster pace, but they are not good at selling. They're not marketers, and the NHD, as you know, has a ready market, so the NHD can take those from the developers. The mortgagors win because they get these units at NHD's preferential interest rates as opposed to buying them on the open market, and the NHD wins because we get the actual units that we know our contributors want.
If you're thinking of realizing your home ownership dream with the NHD, think on these things.
Once you're a contributor, the NHD will assist you. So we always say start with the NHD, but really and truly it involves research. And we find that persons sometimes jump into the housing business and then they get frustrated after a couple weeks or a couple months because they're not quite prepared as to what to expect. So we say come in, sit down, have a conversation with us, see what the loan products are, see what the interest rates are, see what your general mortgage options are. You may want to buy, but in that discussion you realize that you have some piece of land that has been passing through your family and there's a title for it. You probably want to build instead because that could turn out much cheaper than actually having to buy. So start with that conversation with the NHD, and our officers, they are always well equipped to guide you through the process. As you go through the process, there are different requirements, whether you're building or you're buying, that you will have to satisfy. But generally we want to know that you're able to afford a mortgage. So we will look at your affordability, which is a big part of it. So look at how much you earn, look at what interest rate that goes along with that income, with as low as 0%. So you want to ensure that you tap into what benefits you can get from the NHD. And then we have partnerships with other mortgage institutions. So if you want beyond the NHD's limit of 6.5 million, we have a one-stop shop where you can just partner with any of the other institutions, and we facilitate that process for you as well. So do the research, see where you are, see what the options are, and just come in, have a conversation with the NHD, have a conversation with your realtor, have a conversation with your mortgage provider, and just stick to the process. It generally takes about 90 days. So manage those expectations and ensure that you hire competent professionals to guide you through each step of the process, whether you're building, whether you're buying a house or you're buying land. Ensure you hire, can't stress that enough, qualified, competent individuals to guide you.
If you're in the market for a place to call home, here are some of the NHD projects that will be ready soon. Industry Cove in Hanover, Perth Estate in Manchester, Money Musk in Clarendon, Silverson Estate Phase 2 in St. Catherine, and Ruthven Towers in Kingston and St. Andrew. For further information on NHD products, be sure to visit nhd.gov.jm or your local parish office. Contact customer care, We Care at nhd.gov.jm or call 876-929-6500 to 9. Your housing dream might just be a call away.
You have reached the final page of the magazine. Thank you so much for being with us on today's journey. Another magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back same time and on this same station. Until then, click on our social media pages for more informative features. And while there, please subscribe to our pages and our channels so you can stay in the know. I'm Theodore Henry. Keep safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.